Well, we're recording this on Veterans Day, and you mentioned to me in the messages that you are a veteran and you served in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did you find yourself joining the armed forces?
This is the only question that I saw in the prompt before I looked away quickly.
Okay.
Because I like it to be a surprise. I like it to be a natural conversation. This is actually a really difficult question for me because I never chose to be in the military. I was given an ultimatum after I left rehab. Where my parents told me I had to get a job within 3 months or I had to join the military. And we never made it to the 3 months when I was forced into the military. They thought I was going to be in the reserves, but I was so upset that I went active duty just to get away from my parents and stuff and become my own person and just live life on my own. Because up until that point, I was in a very sheltered environment. I grew up in a very Republican Christian household, so being ethnic, it was really fucking weird. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Well, what branch of the military was it?
I was in the Army.
Okay. And then
I was there for a good chunk of change. I did a full contract, which is like almost 5 years. I spent most of my time in Colorado, so I wasn't that far from home. I got to fly back and stuff, fuck around. I knew when I joined the military, I was like, as soon as I get out of this bitch, I'm going 100% into my music shit for myself. So it was a good experience for the most part. I did go head up with a lot of adversity. There was a lot of unexpected bullshit that I had to go through. But it made me who I am today. It made me stronger. It instilled so much discipline in me, and that was very needed at the time of my life. So I'm not mad at it.
Okay.
But I think that I would prefer to do things by choice.
Right, yeah. Just from, right from the start, I mean, you're saying that you got forced into it. That sounds like a very shitty predicament to be thrown into.
Well, my parents always had a really rough time with me growing up because I was not like my brothers or anything that my family had ever seen before. My mother knew from a young age that I was very intelligent and it could be problematic for the rhetoric that they wanted to bring me up in. And it was. I asked a lot of questions. Right? Yeah. I did, Einstein is one of my heroes. A famous quote from Einstein is, question everything. So, they were very annoyed with me at a very young age. But I didn't make it easy on them, so I don't blame them. They just didn't really know what to do with me and didn't really have a whole lot of resources to handle the issues that I was going through at the time. So no shade to my parents. They're just different people than I am, and I still love and respect them. Those are my parents, but we don't really kick it like that.
Yeah. Are you close to any siblings at all? Because you mentioned you had a few other ones.
No, I have two brothers, and we're not close at all. My younger brother is a sheriff deputy. And my older brother is also a retired military veteran. He is a combat veteran, so he's been to war and stuff, but he was a military policeman. So, I'm very FTP, and I don't give a fuck if you're my blood or not. So I've had many conversations with them about it, and it never goes very far, and it's never really productive, because I like to spit facts. And, no shade to them either, but they're kind of on the, you gotta make money.
Go with the flow kind of thing,
Yeah, and I'm just like, there's so many other ways to make money. I think that me and my younger brother, I went at him a lot more because I was very, and still very am, disconnected from my older brother, but my younger brother, we were a lot closer, which is kind of sad to say because it wasn't really like that close. We didn't really conversate in my home. We didn't really talk about anything past surface level. And because me and my brothers were raised in such close proximity and not allowed a whole lot of outside time beyond what was regulated, by the time we hit puberty and got into high school, we really didn't want to be around each other, even though we went to the same high school. It was just kind of like, I'll see you when we get home. You're not going anywhere.
Right. I'm stuck with you.
Right. So we never really developed a very strong relationship. Communication wasn't really a thing in my home. Of course, my parents wanted us to communicate, but it was very sanctioned. Like I said before, it was very cut and dry, a very square-ass family. I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music or hip-hop.
Dang.
At all. So I had to sneak and listen to hip-hop. I had to sneak the Eminem LP, the Marshall Mathers LP. I had to sneak Ice Cube, my first rapper that I've ever heard. I had to sneak around, which kind of made it like fun. But at the same time, I really wish that I could connect with my family more through my music and my artistry. It's just we don't really see eye to eye.
Yeah,
you know, our belief systems are very different.
Yeah, that's tough too. You said it's a conservative household, right, in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So even going back to like the whole police thing, I feel like sometimes when you grow up in those conservative households, it's kind of seen as like a very prestigious position, you know, or very like you're brought up thinking it's like another thing completely different from other people who may have grown up on the other side of town, right, in a lower socioeconomic area.
Well, that's the thing though, because it never really was preached on us to be police officers and stuff like that. My brothers didn't really take to the African American studies as much as I didn't. So I think that there's a big difference because I have had a lot of hang-ups with, you know, especially with the sheriff's department, because the star is still the same star that they did with the slave patrol.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just kind of like, bro, this is too close. It's too eerie.
Yeah.
And what my brother actually does now, I don't know if he still does. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but the last time I checked, he was a sheriff's deputy in the prison system. So, you know, he would often talk about and kind of brag about beating up on prisoners and whatever. And I'm like, bro, like, what the fuck? Like, these people are not well. And whether you believe that criminality is something that is learned or taught, it's the environment that they're around. They don't have a lot of resources on how to get out. And then this is supposed to be a correctional facility. Yeah. You're supposed to be helping these people get on the right path, not beating on them. Yeah. You know, regardless of if they're violent or whatever, you have more than enough staff, more than enough resources to hold them down properly or do whatever. You don't have to do all that. But I digress. I don't want to... Let's move on. I don't want to talk about my family anymore.
No, I think... All right, we can move on. You did mention earlier, though, that you did get out of rehab before going into the military. If you don't mind opening up about that.
No, I have no problem talking about drug use. My family's a little more touchy, but yeah, I got really bad into drugs, just trying to get the attention of my family, and then kind of lost my way in that whole ploy. For me, it was really bad with prescription opiates. So things like hydrocodone, Oxycontin, you know, things like that. And I kind of delved into other things because I was running with a few street urchins, some self-proclaimed neo-Nazis, self-proclaimed gypsies. I don't use that word because I believe it's a slur, but they call themselves that.
Okay.
So, not good people. Spent a lot of time in opium dens and shit. And the funny thing is, and I love telling this story, is when I decided to go straight, I woke up after a bender, and my benders would be stupid. Like, it would be like a week, 2 weeks that I would just disappear, and I was still living with my parents. And at this point, they were so hands off with me, they didn't even ask me where I was going, who I was with. Like, they'd call me, and I would lie, and they would know I was lying, but they would just not press the issue at all. So I was just like, whatever, more drugs and stuff. So I woke up after a really bad bender, particularly, and everybody else was still passed out, you know, still all drugged up and whatever. I just looked around and I was like, is this what I want to be? Are these the people that I want to reflect who I am? This is my community. These are my people. And I just got up, didn't say anything to anybody. Well, obviously, everybody was still passed out. And just got up, walked all the way home. And I think I was in Buena Park at the time, and I lived in Anaheim. Yeah. So it was a long walk. So on the walk, I went through some resources. Some people were reaching out to me, seeing that I was kind of going a little wayward. I looked sick. It was pretty obvious. You know what I mean? And by the time I got home, I had already set up to go into a Christian rehab, which I was there for about 2 years. When I got home, my parents had set up an intervention for me, but it was like a half-assed intervention. You know what I mean? It was just my immediate family. Nobody really wrote anything. And then they were like still setting up when I got there, like, fuck. And I was like, what's going on? And it's an obvious intervention, like it's a circle. Nobody else does this. We never meditated or had powwows in my family. So I was just like, fuck. And they're like, oh, this is an intervention. And I laughed for a good 45 seconds, like obnoxiously loud. And everybody was like fucking scared. Now I'm still kind of high, you know, I'm coming down. Like, even though I walked for like over an hour and shit. But just some strong drugs. But I laughed, and then they were all stunned into silence. And in that silence, I was just like, I'm already going to rehab tomorrow. I had already had a bed for me waiting. Somebody was picking me up in the morning. And so their response was, oh, that's good. And nothing else was said. That was it? That was it. And then I went into the rehab. My parents kind of came through to check on things every now and again. It really felt like being in school again. Yeah. and like having little meetings with the principal because it was just the three of them, and I'm an adult, but they're still talking shit about me while I'm still there like a kid, and they're just like, well, he has behavioral issues and shit. And this pastor wasn't, he wasn't medically or psychologically certified in any way, but they were talking about all this shit like they knew me. I was like, bro, I've only been here for like a year and a half, like chill. But it was a great experience. I got to learn a lot about myself. The cold turkey was a bitch, but I pretty much made Jesus my drug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got like super Bible thumper obnoxious, like praying away blindness and stuff, like trying to, marching down the street and rebuking psychic shops and whatever. Just
dang, okay.
Yeah, it was,
you were all in it, huh?
Oh, bro. Seriously, I learned so much apologetics, which is the study or defense of your faith, that even to this day, even though I'm not a practicing Christian or anything like that, if somebody comes sideways at me with the Bible, I can school them in their own book. So that's
cool.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to be well versed in that,
For sure. Yeah. And I have a lot of Christian friends, and I don't really put anybody down for what they believe or anything like that. It's when somebody starts to encroach on your well-being or lifestyle because of their well-being or lifestyle. You know what I mean? Then there's usually that toss-up of, do you want some smoke or are you just running your mouth?
Yeah. Exactly. So what age were you when you got out of rehab and then joined the military?
I was, I think I was 22 because I had my 21st birthday in rehab. So fucking fun. Yeah, we didn't do shit. They were just like, happy birthday! I didn't even get a cake. Nothing, bro.
Okay.
I think I got an extra Panera Bread sandwich, so that was cool. I was like, yeah. Our charity used to get like all Panera sandwiches at the end of the day, all the sandwiches they didn't sell, so that was pretty dope. But I think I was 22 going on 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and I went pretty much after rehab, that month and a half, and then into the military. So it was all pretty quick. I didn't get a whole lot of break time in between those two.
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot of people going to Christian rehab. How does that differ from just like the typical rehab that we all kind of envision and know about?
Well, most rehabs, they encourage you to believe in a higher power anyway.
Yeah.
So most rehabs are a little more lenient and more focused on the individual and getting help psychologically. Learning what caused the drug habit, because being an addict doesn't mean that you're addicted to drugs. It's usually you're addicted to escapism. Yeah. Like you're usually running from something.
Right.
And I was running from myself. I really was. But it was much different because I woke up every day before the sun for Bible study and prayer. And every day we had about 3 Bible studies. And we had our own study time and stuff like that. So it was a lot, man. It was a lot. But I just kind of put my head down and I was like, I'm here to get clean. Yeah. And the Jesus was just kind of already part of the refrain of my entire life. Yeah. I was raised in a very Nicene Creed, Judeo-Christian background. So it was just like more of the same. So I felt like I was coming back to something that I was used to and getting on the right path. But it was really just falling back into the imposter that I had created, to appease my parents and the people around me, my community, and so on and so forth. I was raised in a very keep your head down type manner. Right. Yeah. I grew up in Latin neighborhoods, so we were the only other ethnic family. So I'm Black and Samoan, so that didn't really go well. It helped that my mother is fluent in Spanish, so that's great. Everybody spoke to my father in Spanish, though. They always thought he was like Mexico City Spanish, you know what I mean? Because he's very light skinned, but he has attributes that can be conflated. So, Christian rehab was much different because it was like you can only choose this. If you did not follow this, you had to go, which is how I was raised anyway. So,
dang. Okay. Was there one particular, you mentioned finding the right path, was there one particular moment, or was it just kind of like a build up until eventually kind of figured it out for you?
Well, I said that kind of as a fallacy. Yeah. I don't think that there is a right path for
Yeah.
anybody. You get to choose. You know what I mean? I don't think that there's a right and wrong. I think that there is consequences and reactions to everything that you do. Whether you intend for it or not, it's just gonna happen. You know, life is not orderly. Life is chaos. And I think it helped me get off of drugs, which is great. But when I got into the military and got my wisdom teeth pulled, they gave me Oxycontin, and I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went through those pills pretty quickly. And then I was just like, whoa, now, let's not do this. So, yeah, Jesus didn't exactly help me with my addiction.
Right.
But he did distract me from it.
Makes sense. Okay. So was that what became, I guess, that new distraction? Because you mentioned that you were a really hardcore Christian. Now you're not so much. When did that kind of change for you, and what?
The military, bro.
Okay.
The military fucked me all the way up because it was just so much culture shock. I did most of my training in the South, and at the time, I had queer tendencies, but I didn't tell anybody I was queer. I didn't fully accept myself yet because it wasn't okay. Even though Don't Ask, Don't Tell just got repealed, like literally like a year before I got in, so people were still getting used to it. But in my unit, there was like the installation's first transgendered soldier.
Oh wow!
And there was just so much terrible backlash because of it.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to live her life, and everybody literally made it super hard. And she was a great soldier, so I was just like, what's the fucking problem?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, it's weird, it makes me uncomfortable, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, you kill people for a living.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, get over it. Get over yourself. Like, chill the fuck out. Anyway, it was just a different time for me, and it shook me in my faith because there were people who were claiming to be Christian and then not following the same creed as I was.
Right.
Now, I came from what was supposedly a non-denominational background, which means, everything's cool. We're not just one thing, and we're not going to condemn anybody else because they believe something else.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. You
Yeah.
know, it turned out to be kind of elitist in its own way. It's just like, oh, we're not like them, or we're not like this, and it kind of gave this for lack of better words, this uppity and very bougie atmosphere and energy that unfortunately I kind of adopted. So I didn't make a lot of friends because I was kind of like, in this, holier than thou, better than you type atmosphere and mindset. So I spent a lot of my time alone, which is terrible for a soldier because you already feel super isolated. And I didn't know anybody. I was in a new state. I didn't have any friends because I was weird, and my queer tendencies, coming back to that, I would do my eyebrows like way thinner than what I used to do, like very, very thin, super thin, to the point where it caught every NCO's attention, which stands for non-commissioned officer. They're usually the sergeants and stuff that are yelling at the lower enlisted and things. Like everybody's attention, and they tried to make fun of me, but they saw that I really didn't care. Yeah. So it wasn't like the military broke me mentally. It was more all of the shit that I was already dealing with, that I was trying to run from. That kind of just came closing in the more time that I spent alone and what have you. Yeah.
And back to the religion thing, I grew up Catholic, and I always felt like once I got towards high school and I went through the whole confirmation thing, because that was really something that my parents really pushed on me.
Got baptized when you were a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
godparents.
Yeah, exactly. So as I went through confirmation, I met like other kids in my area, high school, that kind of thing, that were also Catholic. Like you said, they're kind of almost developed this like little elitist like type of way about them, right? The way they carried themselves, and I was just like, it really turned off the institution of religion. Right? I still pray, I still believe in God. Right. I'll still do my own forms of things here and there, but I don't. And then, just because I'm a big history junkie, like, you look back to, like, the Crusades, or just, like, even,
the Spanish
like,
Inquisition.
World War II. Yeah, exactly. There's been so many things, right, where it's, like, there's been these massive wars and battles fought over the religion, right, and people's beliefs and disagreeing with each other, and et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, okay, I get why, religion is good because it can help people get out of rehab or whatever, like, come clean in different things. But it also, I feel like, there's a really bad side of it too, at least the institution of it, and how it divides people and can get people very hostile towards one another without even getting to know each other, almost like politics are now, or anything else. And it just kind of like, it's shitty, because I think at its root, I think if people saw religion back in the day and they saw what it got to now, they kind of frown upon certain things, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like, a lot of people talk about the times of Jesus and the times of the Romans and whatever. If you were a Christian in the Roman times, it was like, there's no difference. You're still a Roman citizen. You still believe Caesar is God. Otherwise, you're not a Roman citizen. So there wasn't as much of the rigidity that we're familiar with today. Notice I've used the term Nicene Creed, which is the most popular form of Christianity in the Americas. And that's the belief in the Holy Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as the Trinity, and the belief that Jesus Christ is the third figurehead of God. And it's very confusing when you really get into it. Again, I don't knock religion or anything about it, but it is exhausting, like, to do all that. We were the family that was at church every Sunday, and sometimes for multiple services.
Dang.
Yeah, no, it was, oh my God, but it prepared me. It prepared me mentally, and in the forms of discipline for rehab, and then for the military. And those things happened in succession. What it did not prepare me for was fucking marriage. That was not the way. But yeah. That's my 2 cents. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay. So after the military, you said that you were ready to put out music. Was music something that you were interested in before the military at all?
Oh yeah. I grew up in music. I have over 25 years of music experience under my belt, and that's with performance. Okay. My mother was a music teacher, and as much as we don't agree, I still love my mother for the things that she's instilled in me. The intelligence, the knowledge, and especially music. She's a vocal coach. She was a violin player. Fun fact, everybody in my family plays a musical instrument. In my immediate family, my father and my younger brother play the ukulele. My mother and my younger brother also plays the violin. My older brother plays the bass, and I play the clarinet. Well, not so much anymore, but yeah. Okay. So music was very much a part of life for me. Everybody was very musical. My brothers, not so much, because of the way that we experience music. Because my mother was a teacher, she couldn't help but to, like, teach her kids. We didn't get to sing for pleasure because somebody would always be like, "Hey, you're off key. Yeah, you're flat. Hey, shut up." Like, if you're gonna sing it right. Yeah. My mother, she wasn't as brash as my father, but she would, like, get close and she would just be like. And she just had looks, you know what I mean? And it was just, I spent a lot of time trying to please my parents. So makes sense. Singing was not as enjoyable. In my home, we'd always have to, like, sing elsewhere, sing in choir, sing by ourselves, you know. And
then you said you were pretty, like, limited to what you could listen to as a kid. How did you come across hip hop?
You can't hide from it. You really can't. And my parents, like, the thing was when they were younger, because I think when we were younger and they were younger, my parents were very young when they had me. My father was 22, going on 22, and my mother was 20 years old when they had me. And of course, I have an older brother. So they were young parents, and my younger brother came not much later, but a little later. He was 2 years beyond me. And then me and my older brother are only like 9 months apart or something like that, or 10 months, 12, 11. I don't know math. I'm bad at it. He was born in May a year before, and I was born in July, so I think that's like 14 months. Okay, yeah. I guess I'm not that bad at math. So my parents, they were good people, in the bare sense of it, you know what I mean? They're not terrible people. I just think that they're very old-fashioned and not very forward-thinking. So things are very rigid, hard to stop with them. I kind of forgot what the question was because we kind of.
How did you first come across hip hop?
Right. So yeah, they couldn't hide it, and I remember coming into my parents' room, and it's not necessarily. It's considered a hip hop song, but it's like, but it's Here comes the high stepper.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a lyrical gangster murderer. You know what I mean? And so I loved those two bars, and my mother got so upset that I kept singing it because it was on the radio when it came on. You know, she was just cleaning, listening to music. So she made a rule at that point, and I believe I was only like 6 or something, that there would be no more hip hop. Like, we would only clean the gospel. And then she made the exception later on that we could listen to Will Smith. So I got deep into the discography of Will Smith, but I believe the first very secular hip hop song, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and it was, and I still remember it to this day, Ice Cube, Bow Down.
Oh.
And it just came out.
Yeah.
That freaking
that
beat. You know? And it just hit different. You know what I mean? Like, Ice Cube is one of those classic OG MCs that really puts that expression behind his words. Like, you can hear it in the cadence,
right,
and the punchlines. So he means what he's saying. You know what I mean? And it was that conviction that really brought me to it. Like, the bad words is one thing, you know, ooh, we got the little naughty blushes and whatever, but I was really listening to what he was saying.
Right.
You know, and that's one of his more braggadocious songs, but I was really impressed with how he put together his cadences and his schemes. And I used to say this line all the time, but when it comes down to the part where he goes, on your knees, give me keys, butt naked, please. I was just like, oh my god, like, how you gonna rob somebody, take their car and all their clothes, just cause, you know, that's some thug ass shit, and you know. So that's kind of what rocked the cradle. But I got into the older hip hop heads because once I started listening to hip hop and my mother found out, she kind of sent my uncle, who was her brother-in-law and is an emissary, and so he was trying to put me onto like the old school, and I really appreciate my Uncle Rob. Shout out Uncle Rob. Because he put me onto like Big Daddy Kane. When LL Cool J first started, and let the record show. And no disrespect to the man, I don't know the man, but speaking as the artist, I was never impressed with LL Cool J. I was just kind of like, all right, rock the bells. Okay, Mama's gonna knock you out. Cool. But when you got people like Big Daddy Kane, the Fat Boys, where, and Heavy D, you know? And these are quick-witted type people, but they also put me on to like the old school,
like African Bambaataa, or
Curtis Blow.
Yes,
Curtis Blow for real. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. You know, I mean, again, no disrespect to the people, but I've never ever acknowledged the Beastie Boys. And people would always try and be like, oh, this is rap. And I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. Ask the Beastie Boys themselves. They'll tell you they're punk rock. Because, Run DMC is the black Beastie Boys to me. Like, they're barely hip-hop. And a lot of people are like, oh, how could you say that? They're legends. And I'm like, just because you do it first doesn't mean you do it right.
True.
You know what I mean? And I don't really get behind the materialism in hip hop, because I feel like that was something that came in the late 80s, early 90s when it got more industrialized. And that kind of separated hip hop from rap to me. You know? So there's differences between MCs and rappers, in my opinion. Because and I think what, like, both those Beastie Boys, even LL Cool J, I think it showed like the different branches that hip hop was rooting into, right? Because obviously it did start with like Curtis Blow types and you know, trying to like control, like MC the crowd type of thing, like for parties, that kind of stuff. But definitely they branched out to, I think LL Cool J was more his swagger, right? Like his persona and the way he carried himself. Obviously, like, he couldn't go bar for bar. LL Cool J, I think LL Cool J was the first Drake. You know what I'm saying? He was I think he was one of the first rappers that was engineered to appeal to the female audience. And that really started to develop in the later of the 80s and into the 90s, because after his long freaking feud with Kool Moe Dee, I think that, you know, he had to find another avenue because it got stale. Like, that's one of the longest rap beefs of all time, where they just kept going back and forth on records and kind of got stale. And to me, LL is not the punchline god. He's not the battle rapper. He's not, you know what I mean? He is definitely swagger in the style. You know, he was very much, I think, a prodigy in his own right, because he kind of lane switched during his career a lot. But anyway, that's enough hip hop headedness because I could do this all day.
No, I say this is fun too. I'm a big hip hop nerd. I have the whole like little periodic table. I don't know if you ever got.
I was looking at it, bro.
I
keep pushing and looking at it, but I don't want to get distracted from what's happening here. This is the same thing as why I turned my phone off. But I kept looking at it. It was like the periodic table of hip hop. Like,
it's a book, and it goes like historically, like starts from like the earlier roots. I can't read George Clinton is on that first, the first.
Yeah, you got James Brown to the top far right, and then you got like in the later sides, there's like Kanye West over here, Nicki Minaj, Chief Keef.
So the book was written
Timbaland, Warren G.
Yeah, 2011 or 2010, I want to say.
Look at this shit.
Yeah,
Is Drake on there?
Drake is not on there.
That's crazy cool.
This is before he blew up like that, you know.
You got DJ Screw on there. Yeah. Okay. You got Raul Live. That's cool. Real Live. Oh, my bad. My freaking... Yeah. Anyway, before I get distracted.
No, you're good. But I had a lot of fun reading that book because it does give a little...
Who wrote it?
I couldn't tell you off the name.
Okay.
No, it's kind of a weird name.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was... because KRS-One has the Hip Hop Bible.
Yes.
You know? Oh, KRS-One. That's one of my... Bro. You know, bro. Seriously.
Yeah.
KRS-One. That, I feel like... If I had to choose a mentor in the rap game, that would probably be who I would go to.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him perform?
I've opened for him twice.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Okay. I got to freestyle with him both times as well.
That's hella dope. At the Observatory or where?
No, they were smaller shows, but I have performed at the Observatory for some more relevant names.
Okay.
But he didn't have the pull for the Observatory at the time, and when he was coming back around, you know, he's a very grassroots hip hop type motherfucker.
Yeah.
So, we did it's a Mexican restaurant, but it also has like the club downstairs, like it's a basement ass.
In Fullerton or where?
It's in Santa Ana. Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
Y'all know.
It's not
Put it in
Copper
the comments. No, not the Copper Door. There's like another one where there's the Latin restaurant.
Yeah.
It's right there, which they have a little spot where you can come in and like perform, but then they also have next door, which down is it
it's
El
not
Indio?
Chapter? Oh no, I don't know.
I don't know.
I couldn't. Anyway, I'm not out a lot.
That was one of the places. Was one of the places, and then the other one was Marty's on Newport.
Oh yeah. Before, was it back on Newport back then? Because it wasn't. Yes, right.
Oh, you mean the
Newport and McFadden?
Yeah, I thought that's why it was called Marty's on Newport.
True, yeah, but they moved it. My bad. Like,
have they moved it?
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Oh wow,
it hasn't been there in like a year or two.
Well, that does match up with the timeline. Yeah, I did the very first hip hop show there. Because they were more like
super small venue, but it was nice. It was fun.
They did more rock shows, punk shows, and a lot of Latin music.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw Baby Bash there.
Yeah. I actually I got to meet Baby Bash in Arizona at the Lowrider show.
Okay.
I had performed there as well. It was a big ass motherfucking concert. They had Earth, Wind, and Fire there. Ooh. Bro, it was crazy. They had not King Lil G, but the other guy, Cap G, right?
Okay. Polo G?
No.
Okay.
Cap G, the Mexican cat. No?
Not familiar.
Well, he was popping at the time. Anyway, yeah, man, rappers be coming and going. Let me tell you. But I think he's still around, man. He's I fucked with him. I got to meet him too. I don't do the picture thing. Like, I think that's fucking weird for me. Me as an artist, I think it's weird to take pictures with other artists. Like, oh, you know, if you don't really know them, you know what I mean? Right. Clout pictures. I don't do that shit.
Right.
So, people were like, "Oh, you want a picture and stuff?" And I was just like, "Nah, let's just chop it up." Like, I'd much rather talk to people, like, see like, who they are, rather than just endorse them off of some clout. Like, fuck all that. That's weird.
And that's how I felt too, because I last year I did get a chance to go to the Real Street Fest, and there was like a line to take a picture with the Big Boy, and I remember like
that's weird.
Yeah, and like Big Boy's always been an idol of mine, and
he's dope. Shout out Big Boy.
Yeah, shout out to Big Boy.
Shout out everybody on the Dungeon family. Fuck that. Let's go. Anyway.
And I remember I got to him, and he asked me like, "How you doing?" And we had like a good little like minute and a half conversation, right? And I remember it's like, "So you want the picture?" And I was like, "Oh yeah," like, but it completely like
it slipped your mind.
In my head. Yeah, I was like, I didn't go up there for the picture. Like it didn't really matter to me if I got the picture or not.
Yeah.
Just like meeting him, you know, chopping it up with him, even if it was for a brief sec, I thought it was more important. And so I can kind of relate to that. But going back to KRS-One, still the best show. I would say like one of the best shows, if not the best show I've ever been to, was a $5 show at the observatory. It was he wasn't even headlining. It was Slick Rick, but Slick Rick sucked that night. Like I don't know if he was like drunk or something. He just was not even into it.
Yeah.
But right before him was KRS-One, so he was attached before him, and it was cool because as he was performing his songs, he would give like little lectures in between.
Absolutely.
And
that's the teacher, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
KRS stands for Knowledge Reigns Supreme.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's why I fuck with him so hard.
Yeah. And so it was cool because I don't know if he does it, you know, based off the geographic location he's at, but he talked about like the history of Santa Ana and Orange County. And obviously like this was all Mexico. And I just felt like he could have definitely like stirred some people up to you know do some things that night, and it was fun.
That's why I love him is because he actually does his homework. He doesn't come through on some fake shit. And no disrespect to Slick Rick, you know that's still the ruler, you know, but this is why I stopped doing shows for old school, you know, legends and shit because I did. And I'm gonna put y'all on blast. You know, don't fucking do this. I'm gonna put y'all on blast. I did the Beat Nuts. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then we did an observatory.
Yeah.
Okay, we were in the constellation room, and these motherfuckers were so fucking drunk. I remember standing there being so livid, like, bro, I came to see y'all. Yeah. You know, obviously I was performing, but you know, I stayed to watch the headliners because I fuck with them like that. Yeah. You know, and it was just so disappointing, and so I talked to the team at the time, and I was like, bro, I'm not doing this shit again. Yeah. You know, if it's gonna be somebody, it better be somebody good. And I think the only time I broke that rule was to I'm not even gonna tell the story, but it was another rapper that was kind of like an old school all-star, but kind of like C list. And it was a free show, and it was kind of getting in good graces again with the promoters in the area. Yeah. Mostly with one promoter that I had worked with, and I still love this dude. You know, shout out to Droops, I love you, man. But it was a free show, and I remember talking to Droops after and being like, "Bro, what the fuck, man?" You know, and he was like, "Bro, I don't know." Like, and he really like vouched for the dude, and I had never heard of him. And when I do my research, if I've never heard of you, I'm gonna do my research, and if I like what I hear, I like what I see. Right. Cool. So go. And I was like, man, this dude's catalog's crazy. Yeah, he got this person on tracks, this person, but I wasn't really impressed with his rapping skills. Yeah. And when he came out, he was disappointed with the turnout and went into talking shit mode. And he's from East LA, and he was in OC at the time. So he started talking shit about OC.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this ain't your city, bro. Like, you can't just pull up and do shit like this. Yeah. I don't care who you are. Yeah. And he had no entourage, nothing. Yeah. Nothing. He was he had no set list. He, at one point in time, he's like, oh, what do I want to do walking around? He told people in the crowd not to do hip-hop if they wanted to live a good life. He told people that... Damn. He told us that OC will never be as great as LA. Sheesh. He was hitting all the best jams for get your ass kicked in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, this is your fucking guy? Yeah. This is the champion that you brought? And I was like, why the fuck did I do this show? Yeah. I was so mad. And I was like, if I'm better than a headliner, I should be the headliner. Yeah. That's just my mentality. Yeah. And going back to why I don't take pictures with artists is because I view myself in the same lane as these other people. Yeah. You know, trying to do something for the position of clout or opportunism is not going to build your brand, your craft, or your talent. Right. You know, so I think that a lot of people get that twisted. I said all that to say I don't really endorse anybody anymore unless I know them, unless I fuck with them, because I don't like having surprises at shows like that. I've had plenty of surprises at shows.
Yeah, that sounds like a shitty surprise, though. Fuck that.
yeah. There's been some shitty surprises. There's been some things that didn't go my way or how I wanted it to go, but that's life, man. Yeah. I had already had 20 years of performance under my belt, and it's not like, oh, you know, rinky-dink performances. Like, I was setting up shows for the military. Yeah. You know, the military army band. I was putting them shits together. I was performing on a daily basis. Oh, shit. So I was fine-tuned, ready to go. And at the time, I would always check back on the scene. Every time I came out from the military from Colorado, I would link up with my crew. We'd talk about what's going on, who's doing what, and how to better, you know, take hold of our area so that we can blow up here first and then spread outwards. Yeah. But it wasn't until later that I learned that it's always about people putting you on in different places. Mm-hmm. You know, gaining notoriety someplace else automatically is going to build notoriety back home.
Right.
Because people are going to be like, oh, well, he's from here, you know, or, you know, he started over here. Mm-hmm. So I stopped repping Orange County and just started repping Anaheim only, because that's where I'm from. Even though I've been to all the other cities in Orange County, well, almost all of them. I don't go too far south.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah, no, at that point, you're just lost in the hills, and you're just like, where?
Yeah, it's a completely different county at this point.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I actually worked for the Irvine Company, which is, if you know Orange County, you know about the Irvine Company. They pretty much decide what's what and what goes where. They're like the OC supervisors for the entire fucking county. Mm-hmm. But that's all I'm going to say about that. It's just Orange County is a different place. It's a very strange place. It's very difficult for people of color and LGBTQ out here. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not as diverse as it is in LA. Yeah. Even though it is, because I hate saying that, even though it is, it's just it's not as recognized. Right. Like everybody's like, all the ethnicity happens in Santana. You know what I mean?
But I think there's ethnicity too, even like in Tustin and those some cities like definitely. South with like Middle Easterns, right? But I think they're very secluded and they don't go out as much, right? And so they're not
tight circles, man.
Right, exactly, tight circles. Right. There's a big Asian population down there too as well. Absolutely. You know, that really conserve their money and they're doing really well business wise. They're just not out and about flaunting it, kind of thing.
Or you go to like places like Brea and Buena Park, where there's a very strong Vietnamese presence. Yeah, you know, and Korean too. Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. I mean, they have entire fucking blocks where it's just like you can't read anything of this unless you squint because the English isn't small and everything big is in their foreign in their natural language. Mm-hmm. And I think that's beautiful. I think that it would be nice to see something like that for African American people or Samoan people. Like even though people say Barson, shout out Barson, city of Carson. That's pretty much where a lot of Samoan people are at. But there's a big Samoan population and African American population in Anaheim. Matter of fact, Anaheim has the largest African American population in all of Orange County.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So fun facts there.
There you go.
But I wish we would see more of that championing for the ethnicity. You know, really putting the standard of this is what we should aspire to. Yeah. You know. Rather than whatever, like it's a toss-up. You know, we understand that the black diaspora is a misplaced people and it's hard to trace back roots and find stuff, but that stuff lives on through us. And we need to embrace it and be who we are ethnically and spiritually. And it would just be nice if people got along more.
Yeah, that too. That's another thing. You mentioned roots. Have you ever done like some digging and, you know, backtrack to where your roots are from?
My parents are very tight-lipped about the history, and then I found that my grandparents are also very tight-lipped from the black side I got. We're from the South, and then just kind of left it at that because all the other stories from the South is about like the KKK. Yeah, it's just like you could see the trauma on these people's faces. Yeah, bro, and it's just like they did not want to talk about that shit. So when they relocated to Southern California, they were just like, you know, we're gonna be the entertainment black people, you know what I mean? Nobody in my family actually really made it to that level of stardom because I'm going to do it. But they really wanted to start fresh. That my parents and my family was a very like start fresh thing, types of people. Yeah. My parents especially, because my father, even though he was raised in the Fa Samoa, the traditional Samoan way, he married a Maelu girl. He married a black girl, you know, and he was not supposed to do that. Yeah. All of his other brothers and sisters married Samoans, you know, to keep the culture alive and the ethnicity and the stature and the legacy that our name has. So he kind of threw a curveball at a lot of people, and his parents didn't take too kindly to that, and it took my mom a while to kind of win her way into the family. And even then, she's a very opinionated woman. Again, they're very conservative, so at certain points, you know, there would be clashes of interest and opinion, based off of religious standpoint, lifestyle choices, so on and so forth. So we were kind of removed. We were all over here in Orange County, and all of our family was in San Diego. So we never really spent a whole lot of time culturally, digging into that. And I've always asked questions, but my parents were very busy, raising 3 boys in a very, very expensive county. So
Yeah.
it was a lot. I appreciate my parents for everything that they've done, and I don't have any malice for them. It's just that we're different people, and we don't always get along.
Yeah. But props to your pops, man. I feel like it's tough to go against the family standard, right?
Bro, I have so much love for my pops.
Yeah. Because I think there's a movie, and I forgot what it's. I think it's called like A Family Wedding, where it's like the Hispanic daughter marrying a black man, and it's like Forrest Whitaker's the dad, obviously on one side, and then Carlos Mencia is the dad on the other side.
I saw that.
Yeah, but I thought it like that was a good movie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies like that where they talk about the cultural differences and how like both fathers had to let go of like their deep down resentment for their child choosing someone outside of their ethnicity or outside of their culture and race. But it's, I think like, at the end of the day, like love is love. Like it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. And I think, as the older generation gets older and like more, you see more mixed relationships, mixed babies, mixed stuff like that. Hopefully, people are more accepting. I would like to think, but I just feel like, yeah, definitely, like we still come from that generation where it was like very, it looked down upon if we didn't stick with what we knew or what was around us.
Oh yeah, no. See, I never got that because I grew up as a mixed boy, and I grew up in primarily Anaheim and spent a lot of time in Santa Ana, so it was different. I was always the black kid, or the other kid. You know what I mean? So there was a big disconnect from my ethnicity and my culture and my heritage for a very long time until I researched it myself. I stuck mostly to my African American heritage because it was more there. Yeah. Most of Samoan history is written by white people. Okay. And then the traditional stuff is passed down orally. So if you can't get somebody to talk to you, like, it's not gonna happen, bro. Yeah. So I recently went to Las Vegas to see my grandparents because they came inland for the first time in 15 years or some shit. And I asked him about it, and he's like, and my grandfather was like, I'm tired. And I was just like, God damn it. Yeah. So I had to do a lot of research on my own. But I really enjoyed growing up in the Raza, like learning about the Latin cultures that were around me, because I'm not an assimilated person or somebody who believes that I'll be better liked if I become something else. But I'd rather be informed about who I am in an area that I'm surrounded in the culture. I'm gonna learn about this culture, and it was unavoidable. The Mexican people that I grew up with, very lively people. There's always celebrations. There's always something going on. I got some of my best work from Mexican people and work ethics and things that I've learned. A Mexican taught me plumbing. A Mexican taught me irrigation. A Mexican taught me so. That's like, to me, as much as I'm not a Mexican person or not part of the Latin culture, it's still very much a part of my life. Yeah. You can't avoid it if you live in Southern California. You're going to run into the culture out here. Yeah. And I think that it's better to respect and learn than to dismiss and isolate. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, fuck it. Like, I'm wearing my gear right now, but...
Oh, okay.
Fucking...
Brown Excellence shirt. Hell yeah. I got one too. Shout out to you, though. Yeah, I think but your experience right there is so important, you being of a different ethnicity and then being immersed in Latino neighborhoods, because like that opens your mind to venture things, and that's the way you are as an adult. I think the problem sometimes with sectioning off, white flight still happens, right? And so people section themselves off, and it doesn't have to be white people, it could be anybody, right? They section themselves off to different communities so that their people of their culture, their ethnicity, their religion are the only people they know. Exactly. And so they're like, oh yeah, we're tight in this, but anytime they leave outside, they have already prejudice, right, or discrimination, and sometimes it may not even be major, but it's just because of lack of exposure. They don't mean any ill will. They're not down at heart or racist. They're just like, well, I've never grown up around them, so I don't know their experiences. I only listen to what the news tells me, and if the news tells me that people from Mexico bring over crime, etc., and the president's saying that too, that's what they're gonna believe.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, and but that's an experience though, right? Exactly. We need more integrated neighborhoods.
Yeah, and it was happening before the Donald as well. They tried to blame marijuana on Mexican people. The Zoot Suit riots of the 50s and 60s. There's a lot of history, bro. There's so much, and the history back in the day. Black and brown were like this. There was no distinguishing or separation between us, because when all the developing of the country was happening, there was a lot of wars with the Mexican people, and it was mostly the white people fighting the Mexican people. You have the Franco-Mexican War. You have the Mexican-American War.
Yeah.
Wars in 1912 and such. Yeah, and the Louisiana Purchase is a fucking forgery. It's stupid. Like, you can't pay another people who live in a different country for land that belongs to the people that are already there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not even going to get into that. But, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, California, Arizona, Texas, that's still Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, tripping.
100%, right? Yeah.
Tripping.
Look at I hate when, like, white people, not even white people, but just people who are like, go back to where you came from, right? Well, whoever the ethnicity may be. But then there's like cities like Los Angeles or Palo Alto, like all these cities in California are named in Spanish.
Right?
You know what I mean? And in Arizona too.
That should tell you
yeah,
something.
Exactly. That should be like a, I don't know.
And the Wild West, especially Los Angeles, was built up by black and brown people. There were no white cowboys. Cowboys took care of the cows. They were ranch hands. That was not a desirable job for a white person. And I hate using the word white people or the words white people because there is no white people. There is no white culture. There are Caucasian people and people of European descent. People who are of the Middle Eastern descent and whatever. But you have roots that you can trace back. True. Black as a culture was created for us, and then we took it and flipped it because it was created by white people. White was created when black was created because they needed a distinguishing factor. Yeah. Even though you could clearly see that our melanin differences weren't the same, they brought this rhetoric with something called eugenics. And that was the belief that if you came from a white descent, like Euro ethnic or of the Baltic areas, or in the Roman Germanic tribes back in the day, you were superior, which is just stupid. It doesn't. There's no factual basis on it. Right. But because the people at the time, European people and people in power, they spread that shit like wildfire. Yeah. Because they wanted to have an excuse for more expansion, for more military campaigns, because they wanted, later on after the Dark Ages, they were like, oh, well, we can't do it like that anymore. Right. So we had to find out another way to do it. So they still had their secondary inquisition, which is what I call it, the secondary inquisition, when they came to the New World and started converting all of the ethnic and indigenous peoples. Yeah. And those were Native Americans. Those were Aztec, Native American, Native American, Aztec, and Mayan descent. There were the indigenous peoples that had traveled upward from the South Americas and from Mexico and all of the wondrous places that give this land so much flavor and depth and beauty, and these people were caretakers of the land. Yeah, they were married. They were married to their country, for real. Like they knew what they were doing. And now you see things like forest fires because of all this brush buildup, because there's no controlled burns like they used to do ritualistically, because they knew it was part of the land. Right. And these people came over with their beliefs and like, oh, you savages, stop setting things on fire. What are you doing? You're crazy. Yeah. And it's just going back to what we're talking about, just that lack of association, and it's just like, we're human beings. We should try, at the very least, to be civil and understand why it is that somebody does something before we condemn them for doing it. Yeah. I think Western civilization has made us lost our ways. Going back to being one with the land, like all the natives, and even like a lot of Eastern civilizations, right? People from China and other various Asian countries, I think they're more like in tune with nature or their soul or like just different stuff. And you always remember reading about like indigenous people, like when they killed an animal, like every single part of the animal had a purpose, right? Whether it was made as a coat or jerky for that part, making meat on that part, the bones as a weapon. Tools, exactly. So you know what I mean? Like they didn't waste anything, and everything had a purpose, and it was always because they cared so much about the land. And I feel like through centuries and centuries of like Western colonization, all that kind of stuff, it definitely like now to us today, like people just throw away trash on the ground. It's like, fuck it, it bothers me so much. It does. I get on my people's head for littering, like all the time. Yeah, all the time. I get on people for wasting food and shit. Like I try not to. If I'm a guest in somebody's home, I'm not gonna say shit. But if you're at my house, and you do that shit, I'm gonna press you, because it's like, bro, if you do that at home, understand that is not the way here. Yeah. Like I've got on people for farting in my room and shit. And they're like, it's just a fart. I was like, it may be just a fart for you, but I fucking live here. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna live in your farts, bro. I have a perfectly good bathroom and then outside. You know, don't even excuse yourself. Like I don't understand some people's like they just believe they're entitled to be rude and shit. And I'll slap the fuck out of you. I'm not the one. I'm a nice guy. I'm reasonable, but disrespect is one of my hot buttons. People know that. I will whoop your ass over some disrespect.
And I think a lot of times too, like I think like a lot of times because we live in the city, right? We're like we're limited to how many stars we can see. But I also think too, just like a lack of exposure to things. I like when you see those floating fucking islands of trash, like plastic in the ocean.
Dude.
That's like
Trash Island, which
feel like
is
people
bigger than Texas now.
Yeah, people don't see that, right? But if you showed everyone that, like I think people would feel a different way about it. Maybe not everyone, but I think you get a larger chunk of people to care more about the trash issue and recycling, etc., using more recyclable goods and stuff like that. But it's
America's idea of recycling is just kind of backwards. We have to get on the wave of like Switzerland, where they have a 0% trash output because everything, and I mean everything, is recycled properly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Landfills is not recycling.
Right.
The landfills, we're literally digging holes and just putting as much trash in it as possible.
It's crazy.
That's like filling Mother Earth's pores with just shit. You know, it's terrible. You know,
and that's just not biodegradable. Like styrofoam,
no.
It's sometimes still. I get why like those mom and pop shops. I don't even get honestly, but like there's so much research out there and like statistics saying styrofoam is like crazy bad for the environment because you dig it and it doesn't compose, right? But like there's still all the like little diners and all the little like Greek owned places, they also use styrofoam cups, and
it's cheaper, man.
Yeah, it is, but that sucks. You know, I feel like where it's all about money, like you said, it's cheaper.
Well, that's America, baby.
Yeah,
that's America. That's what the real American dream is. Capitalism. Is that it's unbridled capitalism, and I think this is my thing is I don't think capitalism is bad. I think that unbridled capitalism, there's no checks to it. You know, there's no caps. There's no proper redistribution of wealth. You know what I'm saying? And it should be that way. And states should hold their own weight, but at the same time, as we are a complete union in the United States of America, the distribution has to happen equally. Yeah. And it hasn't, and that's part of why we are where we are in the socio-political realm right now. People are starting to wake up and like, hey man, this isn't fair. Like we need to even this out now. Like something has to happen. But beyond that, I think that we're all people. And we all experience a lot more similar things than different. Right. And if we just kind of got off of our high horse of nationality or ethnicity or whatever people hold as their pride, and just humbled yourself just a little bit, let your ego rest a little bit, learn something, open your mind, be a child again. You know, practice having an imagination. Right. And I hate rhetoricals. But you make them wild. If you're going to have a rhetorical, make that shit crazy as fuck. I don't care if it's unreal, but flex your brain sometimes. Yeah. But I think, so I work with kids and I work in like the school system and districts and stuff like that. And from what I've seen is like they kind of limit that in our typical school system and the curriculum. And they're taking away more and more art programs each year. So I think we are losing a little bit of that creativity, especially like at least I work in Santa Ana, Garden Grove. So, typically like working class backgrounds, right, their parents come from. So they're already instilling those kids to do the same thing, to be like, working 9 to 5s at basic factory jobs and not even really, now they're starting to push more college, but I feel like when I was in school, they didn't really push that, and it was just kind of like, oh yeah, you're going to be like an assembly line worker. Like this is what we're gearing you up for. Absolutely. Don't think for yourself. You have this way to do it. Don't think about anything else. And, cookie cutter kind of thing. Yeah. And which is one of the reasons why I hated school. Yeah, I hated it too, right? And and now working with kids, I try and be as branch as far as away from that as I can in my own little way, and just like you said, thinking for yourself and flexing your brain, right? Yeah. Like we all have creative ideas, but at a certain, I've been working with middle schoolers a lot, but this year because of the pandemic, middle schools are hesitant to reopen, but we opened up elementary schools, and it's fun to watch these like 2nd and 3rd graders because they're so creative and they're so imaginative, and it's before like whatever happens at a certain age for different people, but it gets suppressed, right? A lot of times, whether it's middle school or puberty, we like push those things down. We're scared. Absolutely. We're scared to branch out. We're scared to express ourselves truly, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of shitty. Like, how do we reverse that? I agree. It's I don't know if it can be reversed. Yeah. I think that it has to be aborted completely. Like we have to stop doing that. Just stop telling kids to grow up. Like, bitch, it's unavoidable, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? We have to stop trying to mature our children.
Yeah.
We have to allow them to be explorative. We have to allow them to make mistakes. We have to allow them to ask questions. We shouldn't silence them, because kids tell us more about ourselves than we realize, because they're sponges. So they just inherit all of this knowledge and all of this information from around them. And I think that children process things differently than adults do. There's less filters for them, you know, and I think that is important at the young age, so that they realize how the world is moving around them, what's affecting them directly. You know what I mean? And a lot of times kids believe everything affects them directly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they're children. For what their awareness allows them to hold right now is that this is the world as I see it. You know, at the young age, it's very hard for them to try and see it from another person's perspective. Yeah. You know, but it's important for them to develop that consciousness of others themselves. You know, of course, we want to guide them and whatnot, and I don't think that the school system nurtures the creativity and the critical thinking that they should. You know? Yeah.
Crazy. How did we even get onto this?
We were talking about you were working in the school district.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, dating back from the beginning, though. Like,
and we were talking about imagination and how children, they see things differently. But, you know, it hits home, because I have a son, and he just started what I call real school. He's 6, so he started first grade. Kindergarten is kind of like, you know, your little pass grade. Yeah. Get you ready. But he was ready for school.
That's dope.
Before. He was all amped to go. And it's wonderful to see, because we've had the Zoom classes and whatnot, and he's been with us for the entirety of the time up until I got infected with coronavirus. You know, I didn't want to infect my kids, so but it was wonderful to see him as a student, because you know, usually you wouldn't get that chance to just sit in your child's class and watch them learn, and
how they interact with, you know, obviously it's virtual, so it's not the same. I get what you're saying,
and that's my thing, is like, it was beautiful to see, because my son is definitely a leader. Like, he was. They had small groups, and I was like, how the fuck are you gonna put 6-year-olds in groups unadvised, like, what do you think's gonna happen? Yeah, but he was keeping everybody on task and everything, and like getting the work done, and I was just so fucking proud. I was so proud. But he's very much my son. Like, he'll do the minimum work available just to get through the shit. And I don't blame him, because, you know, it's just busy work. Yeah. And kids kind of know that. They want to do things that are more important to them, like spend time with their friends, go out and play, spend time with their family, so on and so forth. You know, these little things aren't as important. So I'm trying to get him into the studious mindset. You know, why is this important? Why are people teaching this to you? Why are they telling you need to learn this? You know, because once you master it and they can't teach you anything anymore, guess what? You just got to do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Just do your work. You'll be able to knock it out really quickly. And that's what I told him. I was like, the sooner you get done with your work, and if it's done properly, we can do whatever. Yeah. You know? But my poor little boy, he got ADHD out the yang, so focusing is really difficult for him. Yeah, but he does his damnedest. You know, I'm very proud of my son right now.
Is he on any medication or anything?
No, I refuse. I refuse, because I was like, you're gonna have to learn to deal with this, because this is not going away. Yeah, this is gonna be with your life. You have to learn focus. You have to learn how to combat your disorder. Yeah, you know, I'm very much an advocate for that, rather than just putting stuff in your body that you don't know what these side effects will do. Right. Yeah.
Because my godson, he's right there. He has ADHD, and I remember as a kid, you know, no one has had the experience in our family of, you know, having a nephew or niece or a son that is ADHD, right? So it was all kind of a shock, and obviously as a kid, like, he had so much energy, and he did a lot of mischievous things, but I don't think he was a bad kid. Right. But he got, like, labeled as a bad kid, and then, you know, he got put on these medications, and, you know, he's changed a lot, right? And he's very, like, almost like too cookie cutter sometimes. That's how I would describe him. And it's almost like he's lost a little bit of himself. And he's 10 now, and he does really good in school now, which is something I like to see, because, you know, I think 6, 7, like first and second grade, he hadn't been tested yet, so he wasn't on anything, and he really struggled with school. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, he sacrifices a lot of, like, himself and his true self for to be good at school now and be good at these grades. And I don't know, it's weird. He's still young, you know. I'm not ruling anything out yet, but it's weird to see that adjustment because it is the first experience in our family and having someone so close. And you know, he really looks up to me. I like spending a lot of time with him, but it's, you know, in the past 5 years, he's changed so much where it's like, whoa, like, what are you gonna be like in another 5 years, you know?
So here's my thing. I don't want to discredit behavioral disorders.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that the human spirit and ability is stronger than these disorders.
Yeah.
Because we've been having to survive for how long that the human species has been around, and we adapt and we overcome. That's what we do. That's what we're seeing now with the coronavirus and the lock-in epidemic. I believe medicating children before puberty is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you never know how you're affecting the brain's development. And I think that it's, and I don't want to step on too many toes here, but I just think that it's not right for the child.
Yeah.
You know, I think, in my opinion, having ADD or ADHD doesn't mean that you're bad at focusing or you're a terrible person or a bad kid or bad with studies. It just means your brain processes things a lot faster.
Yeah.
So
You're
it's
wired
hard.
different,
Yeah, it's hard to slow down. And you'll notice that a lot of people who have ADHD or ADD, they talk really fast. They're looking everywhere. It's just their brain takes in and processes that information just at a quicker rate, so they can do things faster. It's just hard to complete them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like discipline, things like moderation, these are things that we have to learn. These aren't things that are instilled in us. So just like children, these are things that challenge us throughout life. And to put somebody on a drug just to be like, okay, we took care of that problem. It's like the illustration with the cartoon character is getting shot at, you know, and in the boat, and then these holes are popping up, and they keep trying to plug one hole, and another one pops over here, and another one pops over there. You know what I mean? And it was like, bro, learn to swim. Like, get the fuck out the boat. Learn to swim. It's scary. There's sharks around or whatever. But honestly, you're gonna sink anyway. So eventually, you're gonna be in this water. So,
if only the people in the Titanic knew that.
No, you're fucked. They're in some very cold water. Like, in the span of about 15 seconds, their muscles would freeze and they would just sink to the bottom. Like, they were fucked. There was no way. Yeah. That was not supposed. Yeah. Iceberg. Yeah. If you know that this amount of ice can live in this body of water, you know that you cannot.
Right. Exactly.
We are warm-blooded. Excuse me.
So going back to more of your music, this year you dropped a project, Black Joker.
I dropped 2 projects this year. Okay.
Your most recent project, you can talk about that one first, and then the earlier one. But what was the inspiration behind the name Black Joker and some of the visuals that you had behind it?
I am a huge Batman fan, and I've always been obsessed with the Joker. Even more so, the inspiration for the Joker is a black and white noir called The Man Who Laughs. And it's fantastically creepy. I've always been drawn to the macabre and like dark shit because life is more dark than it is, you know, happy-go-lucky. You know, we're more Christopher Nolan Batman than Adam West Batman. You know what I'm saying? As much as we'd like it to be Jeepers and, you know, onomatopoeia blocks and no violence, that's not real life. Joker always struck me as relatable because nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew who the Joker was. Even to this day, his identity is split between a few different characteristics. There's still not a proper origin story for the Joker. What they decided as the canon was the Red Hood. But there's still a whole lot of other conspiracy theories behind the Joker and what have you. The Joker signifies chaos. He signifies what I believe humanity to be, is that they laugh in your face, but they're really trying to fucking kill and rob you and take everything they can from you. So it was Black Joker because obviously Joker is depicted as a white man historically, but I think that black people can relate more to the Joker than white people can. You know, because the Joker's story, based on the Red Hood mantra that we're going to go with here, is that he was down on his luck and he was trying to be a comedian, but that wasn't paying the bills. His wife was pregnant. So he was like, you know what, I'm going to do this one mob job and just be set for life, you know, help the mob with this factory that I work in, Ace Chemicals. And, you know, everything went wrong before the job. his wife dies,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, well, there's no point in doing this anymore, and he's just like, I don't want to do it. But the mob kind of muscles him into it. Batman comes through and knocks him into the acid. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. A lot of people just, when they're introduced to the Joker, he's already the clown prince of crime, and people are just like, this guy is a terrible person. But if you look at even the interpretation of Heath Ledger's Joker, one of my favorite lines is, he's like, I'm just a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I caught one. But that's that's he's on another level. You know what I mean? When he gets his share of the money and then he lights it all on fire. You know what I mean? He's there to prove a point in humanity, and I just really, really vibed with that, and especially in the climate today. And I talk a lot about the Black diaspora and a lot of us not knowing our roots and our history, and that's what it feels like to a lot of us. Personally, it also had a duality there. Personally, is because I felt like, we've delved a lot into my past and my history here. I really felt like I was wearing a mask and just trying to appease people, whether it was in my own house, at church, in the military. I was hiding. I wasn't allowed to be myself. So. Coming out as queer last year was one of the most liberating things I've ever done. I was fucking scared. Yeah. And I couldn't even come out to my parents first. I came out online first. So my parents and my brothers found out secondary. But they weren't super upset about it, I guess. So I really think that a lot of people don't really know who I am at all. And that's fine. To me, that's perfectly fine, because that's an upper hand for me. That's an advantage. I'd rather be the underdog than to be the guy who's most gunned for. Yeah. And, it's too late now. It's too late now. Like, I'm already well up on my way, and so anybody who would have actually had a chance at stopping me before in the beginning of my career, it's too late. Yeah. I've already been here. Already been the clown prince for a little bit. Also, I'm from Anaheim, in which, if you're from Orange County, there's the synonymous, Anna Slime, Anna Crime. A lot of shit goes down there that a lot of people do not know about. It's very hidden. So, triple entendres, all of that. Okay. So there's a lot. It's a lot packed in there. If you listen to the songs, I think that it'll explain better than I ever could.
Yeah. How did you feel about the Joaquin Phoenix?
Didn't watch it.
No, you didn't watch it?
Did not watch it. Okay. I was not interested. I was like, so there's no Batman. And they're like, no, it's not. It's supposed to be the Joker standalone from Batman, but it's like a real life version. And because of all the mental issues that I have, it hit too close to home for me. Because I was like, dude, that's me. That's one bad day for me. Like, I'm one bad day away from that. And I don't like repeating that or saying that to myself, because I feel like I'm a lot stronger than I was before. But that stuff like that is just, I don't understand it. There was no need for it. It didn't really speak to the vast history of the Joker. It was just like, let's just do this and take something new. And I was like, you're just being a directorial asshole. So I'm used to that in the scene, the Hollywood scene or whatever. People just trying to recreate something that already exists.
Exactly, yeah. Or putting their own twist on it. You look at like Disney,
Heath Ledger over everybody.
Okay.
I will say, I will double back and say that Matt Hamill, or even Luke Skywalker, was my Joker before Heath Ledger came around. But Heath Ledger is my epitome of what the Joker is. Okay.
Shit. All right. And then the project before that you also dropped this year earlier, you said.
Yes, that was a collaboration project with me and my brother ACAP, who's also from Anaheim. He's actually originally a Santanero, sorry, he's a dude. Yeah, but he moved to Anaheim. I met him there, and he's just a really great dude. Very much part of like my very inner circle, inner sanctum. Me and that guy have so many adventures, and I really felt like up until that time, I was really just trying to grind out projects for the sake of the spectacle, the look at me, and I'm the best rapper out here. Nobody's fucking touching these songs. And so Cap and Shark, our collaboration project, was like a little vacation, because I still wanted to release 2 projects a year. But I wanted to after dropping Billy Millie, which was my 7-track project that I dropped at the end of 2019, I was just like, man, I feel on top of the world. Like, I don't really have to compete with anybody. I don't have to look over my shoulder. Nobody's touching me after this. So it was very much a vacation and just a return to things of old, like things that made me happy. It's a great project, and it sounds just like it looks on the cover. And I love ACAP. That's my bro. He did almost all of the tracks on there except for 2 that were done by my other homie, Izamari. Shout out Izamari as well. Dope young producer on the rise. And that was our feel good.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. Every time I rap, I still have to say something. I still have to talk about something. There's still some hidden meetings in different places and whatnot.
It's like KRS-One in you, you know?
Yeah. So the songs are very lighthearted and very fun sounding, but they're deep ass songs.
Yeah.
The song that ends it, I think it's "Shake It Off." Shake 'Em Off. Sorry, not Shake It Off. Shake It Off is Taylor Swift, not Taylor Swift. Shake 'Em Off is about how me and ACAP were bullied growing up.
Yeah.
And how we became more confident today because we were bullied for how people treated us and stuff, and how we decided that we're not going to let that define us. We also did a song called Backwoods on Roll Dem, because I didn't want to get sued by Backwoods. Called Roll Dem, and Roll Dem sounds like a Smoke song, and it is, but it's really about how we navigate the party scene. You know what I mean? Is that we kind of keep to ourselves when we go to parties, and me and ACAP have gone to plenty of events together, and we're not the guys who are trying to garnish all the attention or whatever. We're walking like, hey, we're rappers, you know. We just smoke weed and kind of rotate with the 420 crowd, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate ACAP for that project, because it really kind of brought me back to my love of music, and not so much of a career stipulation.
Yeah, makes sense. During 2020, and obviously like when the lockdown started, did you feel like it was harder, easier, or kind of the same for you to make music and create?
I feel like it was a lot of all of it. There was different phases, I would describe them as. At the very beginning, I was just like, fuck, how am I going to do anything?
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm going to the LA Film School, or LA Recording School, whatever, because I'm taking recording class. It's the same school. But I was given the ability and utensils and tools that I needed to do things on my own. But it was very hard for me, because a lot of the things I do is in collaboration or via inspiration. I wouldn't say that I hear a song and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a song like that. But I feel like that's how I recharge, is hearing music from other people.
Yeah.
And when it's live, it's just so much more real. It's the energy is much more potent than listening to a recording of one of my favorite songs or whatever. Of course, I could still get amped off of one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
But there's something special about hearing something you've never heard before and just being like, oh,
yeah.
What? Who is this? You know what I'm saying? So it was difficult in that sense, but it instilled in me some discipline in other ways. So I was like, well, if I don't feel motivated to make music that much, that's fine. I'm a fine tune some other stuff. So I've been getting into audio visual type stuff, audio engineering. You know, putting some stuff together. I just dropped a my podcast.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I had some phlegm there. Yesterday.
Season 3, right?
Actually this morning, I guess. Man. And I'm just learning so much and kind of cutting out the middleman that most independent artists kind of have to go to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the video editor, the videographer, you know, there's a lot of money that has to change hands in order to get your product, and there's a lot of waiting. You know, and production, post-production, mastering, mixing, all of that stuff as well. So going to school has kind of kept me grounded in that, and kind of aligning my career's backbone with more credibility and just professionalism, learning how to still be a creative artist and still be a musician, but then learning all of the other supporting roles around it.
Yeah.
Not only so that I can do them myself, but so I can also teach members of my team,
right? So
that I expand their reach and their repertoire and their knowledge, really.
Yeah. And I think even in that sense, you being able to do everything on your own goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Indigenous people, they're able to farm the land, hunt, gather, like kind of do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you ask people, people are talking about civil war and that kind of stuff. Like honest to God, like 80% of the population would be fucked because they don't know how to grow food. Like they don't know how to
fight.
Yeah, they don't know how to fight with their hands.
People talk about war. It's not going to come to that because most people do not know how to fight. They do not know how to fire a weapon. Right. They do not know any strategy, no warfare, anything
exactly,
like that.
Right.
You know? Whereas I was trained for this shit, like even before the military, so I'm not worried.
Yeah, but even like basic life skills, like I said, growing food and just being able to cultivate different things here, like right at the house or in a particular group of land. Like, I think a lot of people, we've been so disconnected from our roots and the natives and stuff like that. So,
Well, I will say that there kind of has been a resurfacing of old cultures and old ways. A lot of friends kind of surrounding themselves with plants and giving themselves responsibilities to take care of like gardens and what have you, and really getting into health. I've seen on a rise, not only physical but mental health as well. So this quarantine has been a blessing in disguise for a lot of people, I believe, me especially.
Mm-hmm. What are some goals for you when this quarantine, I don't want to say comes to an end because I feel like it'll be an ongoing thing, but when this eases up, I guess you could say?
It's just going to be more of the same for me. I've not really seen a distinguishable difference besides the obvious. I've not stopped working. I've not stopped making music. I just had to find creative ways to continue doing it. Okay. And I've been actually really careful during the pandemic and whatever. I recently caught coronavirus. I believe I was infected on the 23rd. Yes, the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And then was diagnosed on the 29th. No, I took the test on the 26th. Got the test back on the 29th. Started quarantining on the 31st. No. That's wrong. 23rd was infected. 29th got tested. The test results came back on the 31st. Right. That's what happened.
Halloween?
Yes. Which is funny because that's when the project dropped.
Yeah, everything.
And I was just like, well, shit. I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
But nobody did. Everybody was kind of stayed inside and whatnot. There were a few Halloween event socials that I wanted to go to and whatnot. But luckily, I did all my contact tracing. None of the people that I were around in that small point in time before I started quarantining got infected. That's good. Everybody's great, because I'm not just running around French kissing people or sneezing on them. But it's quarantine has been its own little challenge, and I love challenges. Mm-hmm. Life is a challenge, and I think that if you don't rise to it, you're gonna sink beneath the waves and drown.
Shit, just like the Titanic people.
What's going on with Titanic? Did you recently watch it? No, James Cameron's just bouncing. You saw Leo at the coffee shop. What happened?
No, just like I don't know. Just first thing that pops up. It's so like iconic, I guess.
No, for sure. The unsinkable ship. They're like, not even God can sink this, and he was like,
you know what it was? Actually, no, it was. It's the Family Guy episode where they time travel and they end up on the Titanic. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
I might have, but I might have erased it from my memory. Mm-hmm. Family Guy has fallen from grace in my mind.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not avidly watching that shit no more. Seth MacFarlane needs to leave Hollywood, but that's just my opinion.
Well, before we wrap things up, I do like to ask these like fun, introspective questions to help the audience to get to know you a little bit better. Yeah. So, if you could talk to any person, dead or alive in history, who would it be?
Fuck me. That's man, just one person?
It could be multiple people. Want to list off some names?
Okay. I'll go 5. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get Huey Newton, if y'all don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. Hopefully y'all know who that is. If you don't, look him up. Huey Newton, Nelson Mandela, MLK Jr. Don't want to get his dad on accident. Gotta be specific, man. Yeah. Einstein, and he's gonna be the only person who's not black. And damn it, I was not Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes is my ringer, but it was damn it, what is his name? I'm drawing a blank so hard. Frederick Douglass.
Frederick. Okay.
Sorry.
There you go. All right. If you could have any toppings on a pizza, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, I put a lot of shit on pizza, man.
List them off, yo.
I like to build my own pizzas. I don't like getting the fast and ready
pizza press, that kind of thing.
Yes. So now, just for dietary reasons, I always go with the cauliflower crust. Mm-hmm. It's not that much of a difference. I like the way that it cooks. It's very even. I put as much vegetables as I possibly can. Usually there's black olives on there, green, red peppers, roasted garlic. I love roasted garlic on my pizza. Onions. I like putting artichokes on there as well. I'm a huge fan of artichoke. Like, I didn't even realize. But artichoke is bomb. Like, y'all need to stop sleeping on artichoke. Yo.
Okay.
But there's a lot. As far as meats go, I stick mostly to chicken. So chicken and anything that's soy based is pretty cool with me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of vegan friends, so
there you go.
I try and keep it cool.
Right on.
I swore off red meat, so nothing red anymore. That shit, I'm too old now. Apparently, that shit fucks my stomach up.
Yeah, I feel that. All right. Well, if you were stranded on an island and food and water provided, what are 3 things you'd like to bring to pass the time?
Oh, fuck. I mean, is this like a mythical island where it's like I'll get all the things that I need with the thing? Or
you can package stuff together, like, so people say recording equipment.
Yeah, because I was gonna say,
it all, you know, you don't have to be like Mike, this, that.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank goodness. Okay, so recording equipment, I'll be like, I gotta make music, or else, you know, it doesn't even matter if it's an isolated island or not. Like, I'm gonna lose my shit. I gotta bring some weed with me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring my muses. Muses, yeah. So all of the women who inspire me and you know, make me happy.
All right, last question. If you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Fuck. Stop faking it. Be you. Stop it. Shit. Yeah, I wish I would have came to my senses earlier and just you know, went for it and wasn't so fucking afraid. You know, don't be afraid. Just do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah. Well fucking said. Well, really appreciate you again for hopping on the show.
Hey, love being here, man. Thank you.
Go ahead and plug whatever else you'd like to plug, social medias, websites, podcasts, anything.
All right, bet. Everything is Tui Da Shark. Look me up. Google me. TuiDaShark. There's going to be all of that. Snapchat, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. If you look up Tui Da Shark, I'm going to be there. Make sure to tap in with the podcast, Swimming with Shark and Dory. I'm going to try and get this guy on there. I've been trying.
We'll make it happen.
We will make it happen. But yeah, that's me, man. That's all I got.
All right. Beautiful.